Across different countries and cultures, there is one terrifying belief that continues to appear again and again. A belief that before a person dies, someone comes for them. Not doctors, not family members, but something else. Many people who are close to death suddenly begin seeing figures that no one else can see. Some claim to see dead relatives. Others describe dark shadows standing silently nearby. And in many cases, those people die only hours later. In hospitals, there are patients who suddenly begin talking to someone invisible. In old houses, families report hearing dying relatives whispering names of people who already passed away years ago. And in isolated places, there are stories of strange figures appearing shortly before tragedy happens. Some believe these are hallucinations caused by fear. Others believe they are real. But what makes the stories disturbing is how similar they are. Even people from different parts of the world describe nearly the same thing. A presence, a visitor, a figure waiting silently. And in the Philippines, this belief has a name: Sundo or fetcher, a word that roughly means someone has come to fetch you. One of the most common stories involving Sundo happens inside hospitals. Nurses from different countries have reported patients suddenly talking to invisible visitors shortly before dying. Some patients even wave toward empty spaces, as if someone familiar has entered the room. But there are darker stories. In the Philippines, fishermen from remote coastal areas sometimes tell stories about black figures appearing above the ocean. One story from Samar describes a group of fishermen sailing during a calm night. The sea was quiet, the sky was clear, and there were no signs of danger. But one fisherman suddenly noticed something in the distance: a tall black figure floating above the water. It was completely still, not moving with the waves. The air became strangely silent. No wind, no insects, no sound except the water touching the boat. Moments later, another fishing boat disappeared into the darkness. The next morning, pieces of broken wood were found floating near the shore, and all the fishermen are found dead. And during the rescue, someone captures something a shadow above the rescue boat. There are also stories from families who claim dying relatives suddenly speak to invisible people standing near doors or windows. And in some cases, other family members report seeing shadows move inside the room shortly before death happens. Whether these stories are real or simply fear mixed with grief, nobody truly knows. Doctors believe that people near death may experience hallucinations caused by stress, fear, or changes inside the brain. Some researchers call them deathbed visions, experiences that happen as the mind slowly prepares for death. But even with scientific explanations, many stories remain difficult to ignore, because in some cases, the dying person describes seeing people they never knew had already died. And only later, the family discovers that death had happened recently. There are also stories where pets suddenly behave strangely before someone passes away. Dogs barking at empty corners, cats staring silently into dark hallways, as if sensing something humans cannot. And across different cultures, the descriptions continue to repeat. A silent figure, a visitor, a presence waiting nearby. Whether it is supernatural, psychological, or something science still cannot explain, the belief in Sundo or fetcher continues to survive. Because for many people, the stories feel too real to simply ignore. Perhaps the most disturbing part of the Sundo belief is not the idea of death itself, but the possibility that something waits for us before it happens. Across hospitals, empty roads, quiet houses, and isolated oceans, People continue reporting the same experiences. A figure standing silently nearby, watching, waiting, and no matter where the stories come from, they always end the same way. The visitor appears, and soon after, someone is gone. Maybe they are only visions created by the human mind. Or maybe they are something else entirely. Something that has existed for longer than we understand. Because even today, there are families who still whisper about the moment a dying relative suddenly smiled at an empty corner and calmly said, "Someone is here for me." And if the stories are true, then one day, when the room suddenly feels colder, when the silence becomes too heavy, and when you notice something standing quietly in the distance, you may finally understand what it means to be fetched.